What really happened at that airport? Why did hundreds of fans scream, cry, and push past security barriers just to catch a glimpse of two figures in black masks? And more importantly, what were Jimin and Jungkook doing there? Together, after weeks of silence. It began with whispers. Not headlines. Not alerts. Just low murmurs between tightly connected fan accounts that something unusual was happening at Incheon International Airport. The time? Just past 4 p.m. The place? Gate 14, where a small group of fans had gathered. Unaware that in a matter of minutes, that quiet corner would become the epicenter of a frenzy that would dominate social media for days. They came like shadows, hooded, masked, trying to disappear into the crowd. But AIMY knows. Army feels their presence. One fan gasped audibly. Another dropped her phone. And before anyone could blink, cameras were raised, screams erupted. And Jimin and Jungkook, together, were caught in a storm of flashing lights, shrieking fans, and stunned silence. But why? Why were they together? Why now? No schedule had been announced. No official appearance was expected. Their military hiatus had kept them apart, or so the public thought. Yet there they were, side by side, Jimin in a black bucket hat, Jungkook in denim and a plain mask. Their eyes hidden but their connection unmistakable. It wasn't the first time the pair had been seen in public. But something about this appearance was different. More charged. More intimate. Like a carefully kept secret had just burst into the open. Was it coincidence? A leak? Or something far more intentional? The footage that emerged in the hours that followed told more than just a story. It triggered a wave of speculation that nearly crashed servers. Fans analyzed every frame, the way Jimin brushed his hand through his hair, the way Jungkook's head tilted toward him when a fan got too close, the unspoken language between them in those split seconds of shared chaos. Some believed it was a casual departure. Others saw signs, symbols even, of something deeper. A reunion. A hidden project. A silent statement. You could hear it in the voices of the fans who were there, the quiver, the disbelief, the awe. It felt like they were walking in slow motion, said one AIMY who had only come to pick up a friend. Like everything else stopped. Security tried to intervene, but it was too late. The wave had already risen. Fans surged forward, some crying, some laughing, some simply paralyzed. And in the middle of it all, Jikook moved like one unit, calm, focused, and connected in a way that no words could fully explain. But who tipped them off? Was it a misstep by staff? A deliberate clue? Or was it the plan all along? And just when the chaos seemed to peak, when it felt like the terminal couldn't hold any more screams, Jimin turned. For a brief second, just before stepping through the security gate, he looked back. No words. No wave. Just a look. And it said everything. Jungkook followed, silently, his body close behind Jimin's, as though pulled by gravity itself. What came next is a blur: airport officials rushing to control the crowd, trending hashtags exploding across platforms, global news agencies trying to piece together what had just unfolded. But none of them could answer the one question that still echoes across fan spaces. Why now? Why, after months of distance, did Jikook appear together unannounced, unguarded and unmistakably united? Rumors swirl. A secret duet. A hidden documentary. A rekindled bond. But maybe, just maybe, it wasn't for a project or a promo. Maybe it was simply them, two people who, no matter how far they drift, always find their way back to each other. And maybe we weren't supposed to see it. Or maybe we were. This is just the beginning. Because after that moment at the airport, nothing went back to normal. Not for AIMY. Not for the press. And maybe not for Jikook either. The next morning, the internet was still burning. New videos from different angles started to surface. One clip showed the exact second Jungkook reached for Jimin's arm when the crowd began to lose control. Another caught Jimin's soft voice saying something that sounded like, "Stay close," before they slipped past the barricade and disappeared into the VVIP access hall. Was that instinct? Or something practiced? Something they've done before, away from the cameras, away from the chaos. Fan communities across the globe went into overdrive. Some were convinced the signs had been there all along. They dug up old live broadcasts, subtle glances, unfinished sentences, nervous laughs. A look Jungkook gave during a military interview. A quiet moment during one of Jimin's live sessions, when he smiled at a comment and whispered something under his breath. Had they been dropping hints this whole time? And if so, what were they trying to say? The silence from HYBE only made things worse or more suspicious, depending on who you asked. No statement. No clarification. No denial. In fact, no one from the company addressed the airport incident at all. That silence felt louder than any press release. Because when an organization so meticulous, so controlled in their communication, says nothing in response to a worldwide frenzy, something is definitely being hidden. Or carefully prepared. So the questions grew louder, echoing in every AIMY group chat and fan forum. Is this the beginning of a secret comeback? Are Jimin and Jungkook working on a project together, one they've kept from the public for months? Or is this something far more personal? Was that airport chaos not about music, but about emotion? Some fans dared to say it. What if that moment wasn't about BTS? What if it was about them? Not them as idols. Not them as part of a brand. But them as two human beings. Two souls who, despite everything, despite the distance and silence and strict military schedules, still chose to show up together. Because maybe they missed each other more than they let on. Maybe that look, that pause before stepping through security, wasn't just to acknowledge fans. Maybe it was a message. A confession without words. One fan on Twitter posted, "You could feel the weight of that glance." Jimin didn't need to wave. His eyes said everything. And did you see it too? When Jungkook walked just behind Jimin, his stride matching his every move, it wasn't just choreography. It was gravity. It was instinct. It was something that doesn't need a script. Then came the second shock. 3 days after the airport incident, an 11-second video emerged on TikTok. There was no audio. Just a distant, grainy clip of what looked like two people sitting in a quiet hotel lobby, one resting his head on the other's shoulder. The silhouettes were faint, but fans recognized them instantly. Jimin. Jungkook. No managers. No lights. No chaos. Just silence. Just them. A moment that looked too intimate to be public. And too effortless to be staged. Was it leaked? Planted? Or was it meant to be found? The video disappeared after 20 minutes. The user who posted it issued an apology, claiming they didn't mean to cause problems, and that they were asked to take it down. But by then, it was too late. The footage had already spread like wildfire. And so, the theories ignited again. Some fans believed it was a sign that Jikook never truly separated, even during enlistment. That somehow, they found a way to stay in touch, stay close, stay aligned. Others claimed it was a clear breach of privacy, and begged the fandom not to read too much into it. But most couldn't ignore what they felt. That moment wasn't a performance. It was real. And real is rare. Especially in a world where everything is controlled, curated, and carefully manufactured. Then came the next wave. Hashtags like hashtag Jikook comeback, hashtag they never left, and hashtag let them be dominated trends on X, formerly Twitter. Armies weren't just reacting anymore. They were demanding, asking, pushing for answers. Or, in some cases, simply asking the world to let it be. Let Jimin and Jungkook exist together without explanation. But behind the celebration, there was tension. International fanbases, with connections in Korean media, began reporting that certain content containing both Jimin and Jungkook in the same headline was being suppressed. Fan edits that had gone viral started vanishing without warning. YouTube videos disappeared. Tweets got flagged. Some accounts were even shadow banned. Was it an algorithm error? Or was someone, somewhere, trying to mute the noise? And the more the silence stretched, the more dangerous the questions became. Why now? Why this moment, post-military? In the middle of their mandatory break? With nothing on the official schedule? Was this all part of something bigger? Or was it a glitch in the system, a private moment that accidentally spilled into public space?